Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohioan podcast. Craig Schaub here with Bob Garver, our New York City film critic. Bob, it's been a while. How have you been?
I've been good. Family wedding, which took me away from the show for a few weeks, but yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Well, it's great to have you back, and it's great to talk movies again with you. And I know that we've had a few summer blockbusters pile up on us, so we're going to let you get to it. You've got 7 movies that you're going to rank worst to best. Bob, take it away with your reviews of these 7 films.
Okay, we're going to start in the C minus category. My first movie is called Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank.
Okay.
Um, this is a movie in which Mel Brooks was a producer and also a writer to a degree. He's also a in the cast. Um, this is a movie about a town of cats um, that sends away for protection, and they're sent a dog. And they don't really like the dog,
Okay.
but he protects them anyway, even though he doesn't really know kung fu. Now, based on that uh, plot description, does that sound like a familiar movie to you, Craig?
Well, it's early in the morning, so I'm not really sure. I'm sure there are some familiar themes here, but what did you have in mind there as far as the familiarity?
Well, essentially, this is a remake of Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, the Blazing Saddles usually comes up as an example of a movie that you couldn't do today in PC culture.
right.
But it looks like this was a result of a bet that somebody took. Um, to make it not only remake Blazing Saddles but make it a kids movie.
Right.
And the results are mixed. I can't say the jokes land that often, but it's good that somebody at least tried.
Yeah.
But this isn't a very high end animated movie. Actually, we'll talk about a much better animated movie with dogs later in this show
Okay.
on the opposite end of the spectrum. But this one didn't really do it. But I'm glad somebody tried.
Okay.
Um, the next movie, also a C minus, is Where the Crawdads Sing. This movie does have a very nice breakthrough performance by Daisy Edgar Jones as Kaya, a girl that grew up raised in the marshes of North Carolina.
Okay.
Um, she's something of a not really not really homeless, but more of a recluse or a hermit. Um, and we see her first fall in love with a local boy, and they have a sweet relationship. And then she has a less than sweet relationship with another local boy, and he winds up dead, and she goes on trial for his alleged murder. And she has to overcome the stigma of this town uh, not liking her. Didn't care for this one, even though Daisy Edgar Jones does give a good performance, but all the legal stuff drags and is pretty nonsensical.
Okay.
Up next, we have we're getting into the B minus category.
Okay.
Uh, that is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. It took me forever to finally make it to this one. And it's very delightful in places. It tells the story of a sentient shell and and his adventures living in a Airbnb with just his grandmother, played by Isabella Rossellini, and his quest to find his family that was taken from their sock drawer 2 years ago, and also make friends with a documentary filmmaker who gets Marcel's unique perspective on life. Um, Most of what this film does thematically, I really liked. Maybe a little could have used some trimming in places, but mostly just pure delight. Didn't really care for lead actress Jenny Slate's baby voice, though. That kind of grated on me after a while. Um, let's see here. The number 4 position, I have Vengeance. Vengeance. This is the first movie to be written and starring B.J. Novak from The Office. It's about a podcaster that goes to the funeral of an old girlfriend in Texas who clearly died of an overdose, but whose family is convinced that she was murdered. And he decides to go along with their delusion to try to find her murderer, just so he can make fun of them later when it turns out that it's an overdose. But he, as he grows closer to them, he comes to believe that maybe she was murdered after all. Great first 2 acts of this movie. Really falls apart in the third.
Okay.
But yeah, there's the makings of a much better movie. It just doesn't quite pull it off. Doesn't quite stick the landing. Let's see here. Then okay. Oh, then the movie that that I should have reviewed, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and that is Nope, the latest from Jordan Peele.
Okay.
This is about a family that owns a horse ranch and their neighbor. And they may or may not be going through an alien invasion. There's a lot of ambiguity from director Jordan Peele, but and once again, the ending probably could have used some tightening, but for the most part, this is another excellent effort from him. I've noticed that Peele's career is somewhat paralleling that of M. Night Shyamalan, because first he does Get Out, or The Sixth Sense, which is just a game changer that gets nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Right.
Then Us versus Unbreakable, a movie that starts with the letter U, and now it's an alien invasion movie.
Like Signs, yeah.
Like Signs, yeah. And this, it's there's a gradual decrease in quality. Let's hope there's not too much of a decrease next time, because I believe the next movie would be The Village.
I actually like The Village. I was one of the very few that didn't mind the really strange twist to that story. So I'll be one to admit that I didn't mind The Village, although I wouldn't say it's great. But I know what you mean, though. I can understand why some people may not like The Village.
Yep, good. But Daniel Kaluuya especially gives a really good performance in this movie. Up next, Thor: Love and Thunder. It's a blockbuster, and the Marvel formula is kind of showing some rough edges at this point, but I liked it just fine. Natalie Portman is back, and she and Chris Hemsworth have excellent chemistry. As Hemsworth is Thor, of course, and she's a new version of Thor called Mighty Thor.
Right.
And they fight evil together. They fight an evil villain played by Christian Bale, who is good at the very beginning and the very end, but not quite so much in the middle. But Hemsworth and Portman have great chemistry with each other, and that elevates the movie above something forgettable that it probably could have easily been. Something forgettable like the new Doctor Strange movie.
Okay.
That I didn't really go for.
Right.
But that movie gets a relatively high B minus, actually, and I liked it more than a lot of people. And then at number 1, the best new movie that I've seen since We did our last show, the DC League of Super Pets.
Okay.
Yeah, that stars Dwayne Johnson as Crypto, the dog of Superman, played by John Krasinski, who's having a really good year playing comic book characters and superheroes.
Yeah.
um, he he's this dog has Kryptonian superpowers, and he has to go on an adventure with a group of shelter dogs or shelter animals, led by a dog called Ace, played by Kevin Hart, who is suddenly given superpowers and doesn't quite know how to handle having superpowers. But a lot of fun DC humor and cameos in that movie.
Okay. I was a little surprised about your enjoyment of Thor: Love and Thunder. My wife and I saw it. I was a little disappointed. I thought they kind of misused Christian Bale. They had a great actor playing this what could have been interesting villain, but it kind of I agree with you. A good start with his character, maybe a good finish, but in between, kind of a lot of forgettable moments from Bale. And then, overall, I think I agree with you on the rough edges of the Marvel formula right now. But I do agree, though, with the chemistry that Portman and Hemsworth have as Thor and Mighty Thor. So, but also pleasantly surprised to hear you enjoyed, the Super Pets as well. That's a movie that's on my list as well. So, definitely.
Really cute and funny movie.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, what's coming up for you on next week's show, Bob?
Next week, Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Looking forward to that one. Also, Easter Sunday, a movie at least written by and starring comedian Joe Coy.
Yeah.
And also the indie horror movie Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
All right, fantastic. Well, great to hear another full slate as we wind down this summer. Bob, as always, we definitely appreciate you stopping by. It's been far too long, so we're glad to have you back and get back talking film.
All right, well, thank you for having me. This is the highlight of my week.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.